Hey, what's going on, everybody? Kenny Lamons here with the Patriot Group here in Fort Worth. Today's video, we want to cover a fact finder for telesales, and that can be quite a bit different from what you guys are used to doing in the field. I'm here with Ethan today. He's my business partner. We've been selling senior insurance for a long time together, and now we found ourselves here in Medicare doing it over the phone. We want to share with you guys, help you all out. Ethan, you want to say hello?
Hey guys, what's going on?
So the first part of this series of videos was about introduction and bridge, which is super important over the phone. We talked about, you can check that video out. But today is what happens after that introduction and bridge. And that's a lot of people call it fact finding or needs assessment. And this is where you can really find out about your client. So for agents out there that are needing real advice, we're not here to recruit you guys to our system. We share this. We think it's valuable for a lot of other agents, and we love getting feedback from you guys to see what we can do better to make sure we're still selling in this day and age with COVID-19. So that's what it's about today. We'll jump right into it. Ethan, we just got done with an introduction. We did an awesome bridge. They know who we are and what we're talking about. Now we can move on from us being in control, talking a lot, to asking questions. How do you do that? Where do you start?
Super simple. First off, before we really get started into any of that, I think it's very important that people understand and realize why we're doing needs assessments, what the importance of that is, why we need to be writing this information down. Unless you've got the greatest memory in the world, I would advise any and all people to write everything that person gives you any information on, write it down every single time. Okay, that way you can refer back to it, look at your notes, whatever that may be. So after the introduction and the bridge, we've gained permission. The very first thing that I typically do is I just verify that client. And I start out with going, okay, Mrs. Jones, let's keep it real simple in the beginning. What is your date of birth? Okay, fantastic. Terrible at math. That makes you 72 years young. Fantastic. And your address is 1234 Main Street. Is that correct? Okay, your zip code is whatever that is. Is that correct? Okay, fantastic. And that is that's in Tarrant County, is that right? Okay, yeah, no, that's right on the line there. All right, fantastic. Do you use any sort of tobacco, whether that's snuff or cigarettes or whatever that may be, vapes? No tobacco. Okay, wonderful. Now, Mrs. Jones, before I go any further, I need to ask you this. Do you make your own personal and financial decisions? Sorry, I butchered that. Own personal and financial decisions. That's super important to find out. I know every single salesperson that's ever done, whether it be face-to-face or over the phone, you've gotten through the entire presentation just to find out they talked to their daughter or their sister or their doctor, whoever it may be. And so that's going to kill your sale every single time. So I get in front of them and I go, Mrs. Jones, does anybody help you make your household decisions at all? Looking for the answer, no. But even if that answer is yes, that's okay. You need to figure out who that is. And I personally wouldn't go any further without having that person on the line. So if it's their daughter, okay, Mrs. Jones, does your daughter still work? Okay, great. What time does she get off? She gets off at 5. Why don't we go ahead and set this for 6 o'clock? That gives her a little bit of time to get home, get situated, and also let her know that she's going to be a part of this meeting. Okay, does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, and
I think what you do there, Kenny?
No, I would just say on the household decisions thing, I've had people that will try to say, they'll say, my spouse isn't here, my daughter isn't here, they help me make decisions. I'll try to reschedule and they might say something like, oh no, well, I'll just tell them everything that you tell me today. You never want them to do that, guys. It's the worst idea ever. So reschedule. I mean, there's a difference between saying I talked to my cousin in Tennessee about Medicare. Like, okay, then just say, so do they make your decisions or do you make all your own decisions? Versus my daughter lives with me. She's at work right now. I don't do anything without talking to her first. Yeah. You got to learn to.
Very good distinction there. Very important to understand and realize. I believe that even if they say yes, that somebody does help them make their decisions. I know at least for a while, anytime that I had to reschedule, sure, you may lose one or two, okay? But I know that all that's going to do for you is that's going to shoot your credibility up. Mrs. Jones, I would feel more comfortable going over this information with you when your daughter's present. That way everybody understands what we're going over. Does that sound fair?
And the one thing I would add about validating the client's information, that's important for several reasons. Number one, if you're doing any type of Medicare presentation, you need to know their zip code in their county. And if you're anything like me, as I move forward through the sales process, I want that date of birth and that zip code and county to be correct so that I can be checking plans or running quotes if it happened to be a supplement, but while we're talking. So verifying their info at the beginnings, it's going to help you a lot through trying to select a product or developing a plan, what you're going to present to them. Well, that's great for that first section. I think that's pretty straightforward. We don't need to hammer into that. So the next part for me, I want to know exactly what they currently have. Okay. So a lot of people I talk to are duals, or they're low income. They're not quite Medicaid, but they could probably qualify for extra help or LIS. So what I want to know is a couple of things. First of all, whether you set your own appointments or whether you have an appointment setter, we have our appointment setters very specifically, once they agree to an appointment, say, I need you to have a list of doctors, medications, and XYZ cards all in front of you so that you can answer any questions and he can answer any of your questions when you guys talk. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of holding my appointment setter's feet to the fire to see what they've got. So I say, clearly, we're talking today because you have a red, white, and blue card that says Medicare health insurance on it. Do you have that card handy? Do you got your new one? So for those that don't know Medicare too well, the new one does not have their social security number on it. If you end up presenting a plan to these folks, you need that new number. So I want to know that up front. Do they have the new number? I want to know. A lot of times they'll tell your appointment setter they have a company. They won't know what plan at all. So I want them to pull that card out and read to me which plan they have. And I also want to ask them if they have your Texas benefits in our state. That's what it says for a Medicaid card. And I want to know if they have Medicaid. And I'm going to verify that, which we'll get into later anyway. But if they have it, I can get that Medicaid number. Anything I do going forward that has to do with Medicaid, looking into Medicaid plans, et cetera, is going to be a lot easier for me. So this dictates strongly what I can consider presenting them. Like I'm a ways from presenting any plan details or anything, but what it lets me know is what plan they currently have, because that's going to dictate what's available to them. If they have Medicaid, so do I need to be looking at those types of plans? And if they have their new Medicare card, because if they don't, I've got to help them order one before I can do any business, or I've got to get on the phone and help them find it. So that's step one, was verifying their info and establishing if they make their own decisions. Step two, Ethan, do you want to add anything to that? What is all their current coverages? What do they currently have?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I don't care what company it is, depending on where you are, at least where we're at, Kenny. I mean, we've got some companies that have got 2 or 3 HMOs, 2 or 3 PPOs. So it's very, very important to know which plan that they have. And, that way you can base your presentation or your sale off of.
Yeah.
It's very important to be able to distinguish those things. You did mention, I don't know if you want to go into this any further. When I was listening to you on the phone earlier today, I like what and again, we don't have to go into this today if you don't want to, but I liked because our lead piece asks several different questions. It asks, do you want the 144.60 back? Do you want to know more about saving on prescription drugs? Do you want to know more about dental, vision, transportation, things like that? But right after that, when you verify what it is that they have, you kind of put, I know you put our appointment setters feet to the fire, but you kind of put the client's feet to the fire and ask them what interested them the most, what caused them to fill that card out, and what can we really, really hone in on and talk about today? That way we get their questions answered. You want to go over that real quick?
Well, we did, if you remember, Ethan, I include that in my bridge. So I go over
that's right.
the things on the lead. So before I ever have them pull out their card and tell me what they have, I already know if they're just looking to save money on their Medicare premiums, if they need help with their drug costs, if they want the additional benefits. So once they tell me what card they have, and I find out it's a plan that has no dental, that's a great starting point, right? Like they told me their need, They told me their plan, it doesn't have any dental at all. This is going to be, that guides the way I'm going to present.
Awesome.
One other thing about when you ask what they have, I don't care if they have nothing, just straight Medicare, if they have a supplement, they have an Advantage plan. Make sure you ask them how they got that policy. Is their best friend a Medicare agent and set their plan up? If so, you're barking up the wrong tree and you probably need to get on to the next appointment and get off the phone. If they bought it over the phone from somebody in another state that they haven't talked to in 3 years, they can't even remember that person's name, you're going to try to build a lot of credibility and value here by saying you're not going to ghost them, you know, that type.
So for an example, today I was on, when I was making my calls, excellent point. First, you know, after I figured out what it is they have, what plan, et cetera, my very next question is, how did you get that coverage? Well, I found out her granddaughter's a broker. Well, I mean, guys, you got to understand that, you know, even if that granddaughter didn't put her in the very best spot, or maybe you could beat that plan or whatever it may be, you got to understand the loyalty there. Okay. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's really close to being impossible to be able to, you know, explain a situation or a plan. And then the first thing they're going to do is, okay, well, I'll talk to my granddaughter and she can help me out. Yeah. So that's huge to know if somebody who helped them out and how long it's been since that person's reached out to them. Have they done any policy reviews, or did they just make the sale and have they never called back again? Huge and very important.
I want to point something out before we move to the last section of the fact finder. There's two things that are really some pro tips that we've talked about. Maybe a lot of you guys already do this, but I found that most agents I talk to don't do these two things. That's the household decisions question, got to have that in there. And that's the how did you get your current coverage. Those are two leverage points that are going to make or break your sale that you can eliminate from the get-go. One other bonus pro tip, if you're doing these telesales over and you're adjusting this for a final expense sale, make sure that you're asking them who sold them that policy and when's the last time they had a policy review. So very similar to who sold you your Medicare plan, when's the last time you talked to them, you know, what's y'all's relationship like. With final expense, you want to act surprised if they tell you that, well, they have an agent, some guy came by 3 years ago and sold them a policy, but they haven't had a policy review in 3 years. Well, great, that's what I'm here to do today. Similar concept there.
Very similar, extremely important.
So let's move on to the last section. I don't want to take too long on the fact finder part. Ethan, so we know their plans. We know we verified their information, asked some crucial questions. We're not too far this whole time. We're piecing together the puzzle to know what direction we need to go, what we might want to present. So what next? What else do you need to fact find?
The one last thing that I do before is I do ask about primary care doc, who that doctor is, you know, how long they've been a patient of that doctor's, how important that doctor is, as well as any specialists. That's super important as well, of course, when you're going plan to plan, company to company. You know, some doctors obviously take some plans and don't take others. So I do ask that, but then the very next thing that I like to discuss is health. I like to really dive down into their health, what's going on. And another little secret, of course, we're giving away the farm today, but another secret that I ask is, first off, you're going to have to lead these people into their health. Everybody likes to say, I'm good, everything's good, you know, well, except that heart attack last year or whatever. You've got to lead these people into that. Okay, Miss Mary, well, how's the health going? Any major medical issues in the last few years? Strokes, heart attack, cancer, diabetes, anything like that? Well, I'm a diabetic. Okay, are we insulin dependent, or are we just taking like metformin, you know, pills? Well, I'm an insulin dependent diabetic. This is where you're going to drill in right there. Okay, and which insulin do you use? Novolin. Oh, Novolin. Okay. Oh, that's got to be expensive. What is that charging you? Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ethan, that's running me $140 a month. $140 for that insulin by itself? Yeah. And it's just killing me. That's a pressure point right there. That's something you can focus in on and try and help them out right there. If you can help somebody save money on insulin or any medication for that matter, guys, they're going to want your help. They're going to, if you can help them out with that, you're going to be able to.
And I just want to point out, Ethan, that's a great point why you need to ask about health on your fact find. Before you go into trying to present a plan, you need to have done what Ethan just said. There's two other reasons. So number one, you can find pressure points for where you can help them. But number two, you can find out if they're eligible for any of the chronic plans in your area. And then number three, if you don't want to find out they have end-stage renal disease right before you've already got a scope and you're presenting a plan, you're going through an enrollment and they have end-stage renal. So I know that might not matter in the future. There's been some changes with that, but at this very moment, you got to know that. So chronic plans, pressure points that you're going to really be able to build value and help them, and don't want to, that one knockout question. And if you're selling Medicare supplements, guys, this is a no-brainer. You got to do a lot of health underwriting for that scenario. So,
yeah. So really digging on the health doctors, and really digging on the medications.
No. What else do you do other than medications, doctors, specialists at this point here at the end? Anything you're missing?
Income.
In case we want to help them with the extra help program.
Absolutely. Found out a lady made $600 today.
Yeah.
$600 a month. That's it. You better believe we're going to apply for extra help and Medicare savings program and potentially get that 144. You better believe it. And then very important, because I've ran into this a couple of times while asking for income. Obviously, Mrs. Jones, you do receive Social Security each month. Ballpark to the nearest hundreds. What are we talking here? $1,000? Okay. Any pensions, any retirement, any 401ks, IRAs, anything like that we need to know about? No? Okay. So at the end of the day, the end of the month, every month, you receive $1,000 in your checking account. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, wonderful. So that's all I ask on the income.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So I think if you can go, look, there can be, this may not be an exhaustive list of every question we ask. We just wanted to give you guys the bulk of the needs assessment or the fact finder, what's most important to get. A couple of key takeaways, guys. Number one, if you're doing this over the phone, you have got to slow down. Give them time to read the medications. Give them time to find their card. Give them time to think about it. When I'm in a home with somebody, I'm offering, like, can I get up and go get that bank statement or the medications for you? Boom, boom, let's go, go, go. I got another appointment to get to. Not that I'm rushing through the tedious things that, I can just read that. You don't need to spell that off to me. Guess what, folks? If you're doing telesales, you can't do that. You're going to miss so much. You're going to present the wrong plan, or you're going to miss a sale. Because in this fact finder, you've got to slow down. You need to write down everything they tell you. Verify, verify, verify. It's going to work wonders for you. Slow down just a little bit your fact finder. It'll help you present the best option for them and have a much higher close ratio. Build a lot more trust.
Absolutely. I know we're going to get off here in just a second. One last thing I wanted to ask. I know we don't want to make this video super long. In any of this that we've discussed today over our fact finder or needs assessment, solely dealing with Medicare for just for now, do you collect a scope of
after I fact find?
After you fact find.
Right. So I have no idea if they're even eligible or interested in a Medicare Advantage or a drug plan or even a supplement for that matter until I fact find. So I don't present any plan details at all. I don't even bring up a Medicare plan to them until I'm done fact finding their basic information. So
awesome.
Cool. Hey man, it's good talking to you again. I hope all you agents out there that catch this get one piece of nugget, one little bit that's going to help you with your presentation. If you're still going in the field or you're about to go back in the field whenever this stuff ends, a lot of this is carryover from face-to-face sales. Some of this stuff can translate pretty well. But comment below, like and subscribe, and we'll continue to pump out stuff that'll help you guys out. We appreciate you.
Take care, guys.